Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. Um, I wanted to add to my PHP tutorials. I'm doing a series of them. This is the second one. The first one is up already. I will link in the description. It is basically setting up your PHP server because PHP needs to run on a server. It's a language that runs behind the scenes, not in the back end. It talks between a browser and and a database, so it's not like JavaScript where you can just run it in the browser and test it. Although there are similarities to JavaScript, even though they do two pretty much, yeah, two different things. You'll see there's a lot of similarities. Um, First, before I get into what I'm going to do, I just like to invite you to subscribe. If you're a coder, um, I don't proclaim to have all the answers or know every solution, every problem, and that's a big part of being a programmer. And if you are right now, I'm sure you can appreciate that. But what I like to do, and I know there's, you know, a bunch of coding channels out there, and I appreciate all of them, and I watch a lot of them. Um, my favorite one is Brad Traversy. I think he's, in my opinion, one of the better YouTube channels out there. Maybe it's because we're both American guys who can kind of relate in a way. I'll link to his channel also in the description because he's really good and he's got a lot of technologies. But if you haven't already clicked the Brad Traversy link and you're still here, thank you. And subscribe and hit the bell notification when I put out videos so you're made aware of it. Anyway, with that business out of the way, I'm just looking at my notes. Let's get into what we're going to do. So I'm going to go over the basics. I want to go over the basics in this video. In the last video, like I said, I'll link in the description. The last video I did setting up your environment, your dev environment, and how to run that. So I'm going to assume that you've already done that or know how to do it or whatever. So we're just going to play around with some things. Um, all right, so let's get started. All right, so this is, like I said in my setup video, this is PHP. Everything inside of here is PHP. The file has the extension .php. There's HTML in here. You can put PHP uh, in HTML, and I'll leave that there, and I'll show you later on uh, how that works. I mean, it works pretty much the same way as you can do up here. It's just that you know, if you put it up here, the PHP, whatever you put in there, it'll show up at the top of the page. If you put it here, it'll show up in the body. But anyway, so first we're going to do comments. It's real simple, comments. I think there's two ways to do it, but the one way is just 2/, or if you're in Atom Text Editor, which I'm using Atom Text Editor, by the way, you can you could just select whatever you want to make a comment and hit Control on Windows or Command on Mac and slash, and it just automatically comments that out. Um, Comments, just like any programming language, are meant to, um, they shouldn't be obvious. Like if you say, uh, you know, if you have a function called my function, you wouldn't say this is my function. You would say what the function does or how it does what it does. All right, next, not most important, but one of the important ones is variables. Variables start with letters, yes, and could have symbols in them. Very oftentimes they do. So I'll show you an example. So it would be 1 equals example 1, right? Oops, can't spell that. Geez, example one. Whoops, forgot my $sign. So that's how we declare a variable, is with a $sign, and I'll show you. Give me a sec. Let me just save this. Go to our browser, refresh, and then we have example one. So that's a variable is um, uh, defined by the $sign. There are such things as global variables that we'll get into later on in another video, because there's a few of them, and I feel like they bear their own particular video, so I'm going to try to put those in a video. But for example, you would define uh, here's the name of your variable, test, and then here would be by comma, and here would be what it is, like say password. Um, right, and then you would, I'm pretty sure you could do echo test. I forget if that's the way it works. So double check. No. Okay. All right. Don't worry about that. So that's for another lesson. So so that was variables. Oftentimes what happens is we get a variable, and let's just say it's database underscore password. Like if you're setting password for a MySQL connection, which will be a video in and of itself. So you would say equals, and then a string, whatever your password is, like that. That's pretty common, especially if it's something significant. If you're just doing a variable for like a function or something like that, equals 33, right? Then, you know, then that's fine. Lowercase, it doesn't really matter. It is case sensitive, so watch out for that. Next one we already talked about, echo, and this typically, um, you I wouldn't say you really use it for like displaying stuff on the screen, like to show stuff in HTML. It's kind of really not for that. It's more, it's a lot of it is for testing. Not that you can't or shouldn't use it for showing stuff in HTML, but oftentimes it's functions that do that. So anyway, so we'll go over it. So just like I did before, it's pretty simple. So our y variable, $y equals 55. I don't know, whatever, and then we'll do echo $, and y, and we'll do a couple of these. We'll also do echo a message, hello world, and we'll do echo 99. Okay. Oops. Let's save as. Save all. Fresh. Oh, I forgot. Oh, that's one thing in PHP. JavaScript commas or I'm sorry, semicolons are sort of optional. Here, they are not optional. You have to use them. Otherwise, you get an error. So there's our 55 hello world and 99, no space. Obviously, we didn't get into any of that. So that's echo. There's also print underscore R, I think. I forget what it is. I think that's what it is. $y, I think that's what it is. Oh no, I think there's a parentheses. I'm doing this all by my off the top of my head. So oh yeah. So there's a function, or technically it's a function. So you have to call it with the parentheses. Give me a sec. Fresh that baby. There you go. It does the same thing. If you had information coming back from a server, like a MySQL database, it would just be a different syntax. It would spit out raw data basically. But since we only have 55, that's that. That's echo and print. Pretty standard. Let's talk a second about data types. There are primitive data types, just like in JavaScript, which are strings, booleans, true or false, numbers, of course. I guess I should have mentioned that second. Because one more. Strings, booleans, numbers, and and then there's objects and arrays, but we'll get into that. I'm sorry, just arrays. Arrays are basically 55, 56, 57. That's an array in well, in JavaScript as well. It's just a storage of data types all in one. But technically, an array itself is a data type. Let's see. So a string is basically by quotes, and you can use double quotes or single quotes. I prefer single just because it looks a little bit better, unless you are, which this gets a little complicated. If you need to use, say you use double quotes, right? Because that's how you would put, that's how you would put HTML in there, and then you would concatenate something. But let's say in this paragraph tag, you needed a class equals, you can't put double quotes again or it'll give you an error. You have to put single quotes inside, or vice versa. If you use single quotes on the outside, you'd have to use double quotes on the inside. Sorry to get off topic, but that's just something that is kind of important and it can frustrate you a little bit. Let's see. Uh, like, oh, we also have numbers. I mean, you can, t variable equals, 100, whatever. Of course, that's pretty standard. I mean, I feel like if you have any experience, if you've done any PHP, you know that a number is a number. Now, well, we can't do t. We'll do equals 100. That's not a number. That's a string. A little bit of a difference. Like if you did sum, right? E plus 10 echo sum. Yeah, it's because it's not a it's not an actual number, right? But if we did t, hopefully this works. Otherwise, I look like an idiot. Save all, refresh. Huh. Syntax. Oh, I probably forgot a stupid semicolon. No, I didn't. Oh, sorry, I forgot the equal sign. Jesus. And then we get 110. But see, if we did it with the E, that wouldn't work, most likely. Okay, it does work. Never mind, forget I said that. Okay, so so that's that. And of course, as you just seen, we have all the normal operators: plus, minus, multiply, divide. As you just saw, you could do addition. That was it for the basics. Any questions? Give me, shoot me a comment down there. I'd be glad to answer it for you. Let's see. One more thing, since we have a little bit of time, let me just show you the basic syntax of of if-else statements. So basically, let's say we have a variable equals 10. Okay. So we'll say if r equals 10. Sorry, you need double equals 10. Oops, Jesus. R equals 10. Then we'll echo R equals 10. Else, if it doesn't, else echo I can't spell. And don't forget your semicolon, as I often do. Freaking out. Okay, so expected error. All right, let's see, line 6. All right. Oh, because I forgot the semicolon again. Still, you'll find that happens a lot, and usually this syntax error, and then you just go to the line, and it's usually the line before that, or a few lines before that usually. So there, because r does equal 10. So r equals 10. If r equals 10, we'll echo r equals 10, which it did. But if not, it'll say I can't spell. So if we make this 11, save all, in here, I can't spell. Okay, so it doesn't. So, where would you use this? For example, say you got back an ID. Oops, ID equals 333 from a database. Okay, and if you say, if ID triple equals means it has to be match both the value and the data type, meaning it has to be both the same data type, meaning number, string, Boolean, etc., and it has to match the same value. So if you use triple equals 333, right, we should get r equals 10, which it does. But if you did, let's see, equals 333, I think this is the way it works. Let's see, yeah. So it's got to match everything exactly. But if we made it just 2 equal signs, then it's correct. But 3 equal signs, it has to be the same number and the same type. Okay, so those are if-else statements. Let's do, let's see. Oh, let's talk about, real quick, since we have some time, let's talk about concatenation. Let's see, what's the best way to do this? Okay, so let's go down here inside the HTML, inside our PHP tag. So let's say, we'll bring this down a line. One more just so we have some space. All right, let's do an echo. Let's do a paragraph tag. And let's say up here, no, sorry, in here. It's got to be in here because it's going to be a local variable. Let's just say r equals Adam. So we do echo. So we're going to echo my name in a paragraph tag. Actually, let's, just so we can see the difference, let's make this H1 so it's bigger and bolder, right? So instead of typing just plain R like that, which you can, but it won't work, we need to concatenate onto it the R variable, and then concatenate again with another period, and then more quotes, and then our closing let's see, H1. Oops, H1. Okay, close that puppy off with a semicolon, and let's see. See what that gives us. There we go. There's my name in H1, and that is the way that you would concatenate into HTML, right? You put it directly in there. Or there's another way you can do, let's see, you could do, I think this works. In H1, H1. Yes. And then we open a PHP tag. Oops. Can't spell freaking PHP. And we'll do echo a string Adam. I think that's how it works. If it's not, then just do it the other way. All right, it works that way. I couldn't remember if it works the same way. So if you do it inside there, let's see, what else can we go over? I wanted to save functions and arrays because and loops. So I think in the next video I'm going to do, in fact I'm almost positive, I'm going to do switch statements, loops, functions, and arrays all combined because they all kind of relate to one another. And now that you have this basics video that you can reference, I think you're ready to move on to the next stage. After that, like I said, I want to do a quick video for Superglobals because those apply in a lot of different areas, and they kind of they each one, there's four main ones, and they each kind of deserve their own explanation. And then after that, finally, the last thing I want to do, the most common thing for PHP in general, is to connect via PDO statement to a MySQL database, and how to get information. That's going to be its own video in itself because it needs to be, because I really want to explain everything and break it down. All right, and that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, hit the bell icon. Right now I'm focusing on this PHP, basic HTML and CSS, and React tutorials / JavaScript. They kind of relate, obviously. Um, so yeah, so hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. I would appreciate it. Sorry about that. And also like up this video. Like I said in the beginning, I know there's a lot of people out there who there's a lot of different tutorial videos out there, and maybe you've watched a lot of them, but sometimes it's just the way a certain person says something and it clicks and you go, oh, okay, because this is kind of one of those things. It's kind of one of those things where you have to keep learning and keep failing and trying over and over again, because that's what I did. In the beginning, I'm like, even when I was going through college, I'm like, oh my God, I don't get this. It's a concept thing rather than math where it's 10 plus 10 is always going to be 20. Where this is like, well, you could do it this way, you could do it that way. Here's a problem that I need to solve. How do I solve it? Do I use a function? Do I need a variable? Do I need to connect to a database? Whatever the situation. And that's why I think that there needs to be so many of these web development channels, or videos also, because I know that happens for me. Like I said, Brad Traversy, I'll link him in the description. But I like the way he explains a lot of things, and he does a really great job. And he's very thorough. He makes some things that are hard to understand, he makes them easy to understand, or easier. Uh, but yet, and then I watch somebody else like Tuts videos, or I forget the guy's name, um, the coding train or whatever, and they say something, just something little, and it just clicks. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what it's supposed to mean, or that's what it's supposed to do. So, anyway, uh, comment if you have any questions, or you think the video sucked, or whatever, and leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time, guys. See you around.